So let's pick up one of those three areas first of all. So integrated incidents reporting. And first of all, before I jump into the how and the what's changing and how we approach this, and certainly giving an opportunity on from a Toronto perspective to say what they've done. Let's just talk about some things that are in the industry right now. I think a lot of people will be aware that NIBRS as a strategy from the FBI is something that's getting introduced almost for full compliance in January. And with that comes a unified way of reporting crime and records management, basically. But at the same time, it also involves depreciation and retiring of other legacy systems with a view that NIBRS becomes more of an informed or insightful framework for around national-based reporting of incident. So given that that's a driver anyway, giving people a perspective how much more quickly you can move to this framework, which not only satisfies FBI requirements, but also at the same time helps people understand how to improve their own experiences, is pretty key. So a good example there is to think about, I guess, what we're doing today or what we did in the past, where we have traditional policing systems that are separated, predictable, unified around a particular thought or workflow, functional in that respect, and therefore data is siloed in that particular database, versus where we live today, where the sort of insightful models we want to move to are but much more omni-channel, which are integrated into a multi-format, multi-database, interrelated, distributed environment where we're trying to leverage multiple connections of information at the same time to create much more accuracy and much more insight to do that. Now, the reality is in many of these scenarios, for a police organization to move to that right side model where we're creating more insight, then they have to go through a very traditional data management approach, which from a big data perspective is time consuming. I mean, many of these projects, as they start with things like ETL and moving data out of traditional systems and putting it into a format where you can do some analytics against it or run some searches or produce a different type of workplace solution, can then be anywhere from 9 to 12 months to 2 years worth of effort. And the reason why is because more of the emphasis is on the actual data and what we need to do with that data to move and manage it versus the operational perspective, which is how can we get something in the hands of people that really have the real requirements much more quickly and unify that data. So one other way of thinking about this is to think about it as a last mile problem. We focus too much on the left side, which is what to do with the data, and not enough side on the right side, which is to do with the operational. And a way of sort of maybe changing this paradigm a little bit is to think about what it would take not to necessarily get stuck in that particular method of doing things. And if we focus on reducing time to value, which is how do I think about what the operational view of this looks like and what it means to bring information together from that perspective, then we start to look at technology differently. And this is where insight technology comes in. And this is also where LucidWorks comes in as well. So this isn't really an infomercial for LucidWorks because obviously Toronto have really experienced a journey here, but it just shows you that you can take data at rest or in operational source, index it, bring it into an environment and put it into a situation where you can utilize it much more quickly today than a traditional process of trying to bash applications and systems together. Because the applications and systems are still working fairly well. It's just a case of creating that insight.